Welcome back to another episode of Cellar Film Reviews. And oh, hold on one second. I'm sorry. You probably didn't recognize me with my glasses on. Today, we're talking about Superman, the newest DC Comics film, and technically the first in this new James Gunn, Peter Safran-led universe. But before we begin, it is with my great dismay that because of the release of this movie, we officially lay Man of Steel to rest. A film that I think almost perfectly encapsulates the character of Superman. Can this movie live up to Man of Steel? Well, that's what we're here to figure out. Initially, I was really worried about this film going into it. It just seemed like there was a lot going on in the trailers, and as a first movie in the franchise, I wasn't entirely sure how it was going to fit everything into it. Now, just to name a few characters that the movie focuses on, we have Mr. Terrific, Lois Lane, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, Lex Luthor, Ultraman, the Engineer, Metamorpho, Krypto, and of course, Superman. With some more side characters thrown in there like Jor-El, Lara Jor-El, Ma Kent, Pa Kent, and the whole gang at the Daily Planet. I'll get a little bit more in-depth to these characters as we go forward, but for right now, I just want to say that when you watch the movie, most of those characters really take up their roles as side characters and don't steal the spotlight too often, which, in my opinion, is a great thing. But before we talk about side characters, we have to talk about Superman. The title character, played by David Cornsweet, really exemplifies the Boy Scout nature of Superman, which admittedly is not my favorite. Like I mentioned earlier, in something like Man of Steel and my favorite movie, Batman vs. Superman, Superman sort of takes the role as a flawed god-type character. A person with seemingly unlimited power, but doesn't know how to use that power to best serve everybody. He can only do things to the best of his ability, and people hate him for it. And yet that character still perseveres. In this film, the script touches on that slightly in certain points when the parent's message is fully revealed, and how Lex Luthor is able to manipulate the minds of the world into fighting against Superman. There are 2 points in the movie that I can specifically point to that illustrate this flawed god dynamic. The first is towards the end when Superman has to decide whether to stop the rift in Metropolis or stop a Middle Eastern war, and the second comes shortly after that where Superman gives a soapbox-style speech explaining the entire theme of the movie. I'm not going to go into what exactly the speech says, but in short terms, it's basically, here's what our movie's about, and here's what you need to take away from it. I did not like that. It sort of feels insulting to the audience saying that we couldn't figure that out on our own just by watching the movie, and thus it makes a lot of what Superman is saying fall flat. This is shortly followed by a sort of temper tantrum thrown by Lex Luthor, and it really just makes the whole scene not sit very well with me. Besides those 2 points though, Superman is really just the goody two-shoes character that might have come out of something like the Silver Age. I will say though, contrary to Man of Steel, it is really nice to see a Superman movie that's bathed in bright colors and flashy objects. The next character I'm going to touch on is not even a human one. It's Krypto the Superdog. Now, I'm a big fan of Krypto the Superdog. I was so excited to see him on the big screen, and yeah, it was really cool. The inclusion of Krypto in this movie just kind of felt like a distraction at certain times. The dog is over-hyper, and he doesn't listen by design. That's sort of his character flaw, and that's fine. But when you're trying to focus on Superman fighting the bad guys and saving the day, an untrained dog running around in the background is not really the thing you want your audience to be focused on. I did really like the short inclusion of Supergirl at the end, seeing as she's the one that owns Krypto and Clark was just dog-sitting. But going forward, I really kind of hope that Krypto is not as major of a role in Supergirl as he was in Superman. The last few characters I'll talk about, and this ties into Superman's character a bit, is his pair of parents. You have Jor-El and Lara Jor-El on Krypton, and you have Ma and Pa Kent in Kansas. A big crux of the plot of this movie is that the video message that was sent from Krypton with Superman in his rocket was one from his Kryptonian parents, first saying how much they love him and how much they're proud of him, and second saying that he should take over the planet, even if he needs to use forceful means to do so. I know this Superman didn't follow through with those plans from his birth parents, but that just didn't sit right with me. Jor-El and Lara Jor-El are always sort of a benevolent couple that wants the best for their son, that wants the best for their universe. That's why they send him to Earth, because Earth is a lost and confused place, and Superman can be the symbol that humanity needs to strive for that next level of greatness. Superman is not a ruler. He is not some oligarch that has come to take over the planet. To me, the way that this message played out was really reminiscent of Superman Red Son, the alternate story where Superman lands in Soviet Russia and becomes a dictator. There's a reason that's an Elseworld story and not the basis of Superman. Because Superman, while not human, is still the best of us. And in my opinion, that's the way it should stay. Ma and Pa Kent are Superman's living moral compass. Where his Kryptonian parents are the ones that should send him to Earth to be the savior, his Earth parents are the ones that keep him on that track. In this film, Ma and Pa Kent sort of just felt like they were there, not really doing much other than being landlords for the first 30 years of Superman's life. They didn't really have enough exposure to me to feel like they were significant in his own way of becoming the character that he is. This is contrary to something like Man of Steel, where Ma and Pa Kent are at the center of his origin story. Without the guidance from his parents in a film like Man of Steel, Superman would not be where he is. In this film, it just didn't feel like that at all. In terms of the villains, I thought Lex Luthor was fine. I'm a big fan of Nicholas Hoult. I just think that a lot of the actors in this movie need a bit more room to breathe and develop their characters, and they will sit just fine with me. One of my least favorite things about this movie was the inclusion of Ultraman being a doppelganger clone of Superman. I think it's way too early in this universe's story to go down that route of a clone Superman, especially if you're not even committing to the fact that he might be Bizarro. And let me tell you, when it comes to the so-called Justice Gang, thank God they're not called that for real. I did really like Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl. I think Nathan Fillion was a perfect choice for the character, and Isabel Merced has a lot of potential and room to grow. Really looking forward to those characters coming back in the future. Overall, I think I'd classify this movie as good. I don't think I love it right now, but I really don't hate it. There's a lot of things that I enjoy about this movie that in a lot of ways overshadow the bad. But the thing is, most of those good things are simply just promises for the future. The continuation of Superman and Lois Lane, the continuation of Lex Luthor, the coming of Supergirl and Lobo in her future film, the expansion of the Justice Gang, who I pray to God won't be called that in the next film. But as a start, as a place to begin, there's a lot going for it. The action is great. The script writing was really nice with just the right amount of humor mixed in with the action, and it still left a lot of room for the emotions to breathe and let the actors do their work as characters. I think this movie lands in the middle of the road for me, but no Superman pun intended, I am very hopeful for the future of DC films. Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman will always hold a special place with me, but I am very interested in a more colorful, a brighter, and a more exciting future for the DC universe going forward.